Mr. James from Charm City Karate here. It occurred to me that I seem to have a slightly different view on martial arts than a lot of other people. I was trying to figure out why. I think part of it is that I kind of look at martial arts like language. And that kind of influences the way I look at it. And I don't mean like, you know, a block is a letter A, punch is a letter B. But more like, you would not let your child be illiterate. The idea just wouldn't even occur to you. You would make sure your child learned how to read and write. And if you're going to live in another country, you would make sure they learned the language there. I would never let my child not learn how to fight. Okay? My two rules are, you must learn how to fight and you must learn how to swim. Because those are two things that if you ever found yourself in a situation where you needed them and you didn't have them, you'd never forgive yourself. Okay? Because they're not things you can learn on the spot. And it could be the only chance you have. Right? Because if you can't swim and you're in the middle of the ocean, it's over. Okay? And if you can't fight and you're in the middle of that ocean, it's over. Right? You might never get another chance to learn. So, to continue with that analogy though, if you think about it, martial arts are a lot like a language. You know, when you start out doing martial arts, your vocabulary is very simple. You know, you have very basic blocks, basic punches, basic strikes. Kind of like when you're a little kid and you're learning like how to write block letters. You use very simple words, simple sentences. You know, see Dick run. Although, I gotta tell you, my kid's not reading any books that are like that. I mean, Dr. Seuss is way better than see Dick run, but still, you know, 1 foot, 2 foot, red foot, blue foot. You know, still pretty basic. You have like 4 words that aren't foot. And then you get foot over and over again, right? And then you progress from there. And as you go, you learn proper grammar. No matter what your martial art is, you're learning the proper grammar for that martial art. You know, you must stand like this, you must move like this. We have this rule for this circumstance, this rule for this circumstance, right? So, when the enemy attacks, you'll move like this, right? You always have a grammar for it. For example, in Kempo, whenever you are grabbed, you re-grab. Always. All right? Anytime you do an upward elbow strike, you're going to follow it up with a downward claw. Why? Because your arm's already up here, you got to come down anyway, you might as well hit it. Simple reverse motion, but drilled into you from a very early age. Just like that whole QU thing, and I don't know, I can't even think of any others. I before E, okay? Basic grammar rules. All right. Then, as you continue your journey with language, you start to broaden your vocabulary. You start to get chapter books, right? So, as you continue your journey in martial arts, you go from little tiny basic forms to longer and harder forms, and bigger, longer routines in your drills, and things get more and more intricate. They will actually get to a point, if you're in any kind of serious martial art, where the drills and the forms that you are learning, you would not have been able to learn when you were a white belt or when you were a beginner. The sequences that you're learning are actually too complex to have been learned by a mind that was not prepared to learn those kinds of sequences by that constant repetition. Does that make sense? So you actually get used to learning long sequences like choreography from doing it so much, all right? Like learning those repetitive physical patterns. And the stuff that you're learning at like brown or black belt is really just too long and complex for someone to learn that hasn't been doing it. Okay? You get a guy off the street and you show it to him. It doesn't matter how many times you show it to him in a day, he's not going to get it. Okay, just too much. You could get a black belt from another system, he could probably pick it up. Guy off the street, there's just no way. All right. Same thing with like Moby Dick. You show it to a kid in 3rd grade, no idea. All right, so moving on. And then you'll notice that as you go, at some point, you're going to seek out pieces from other languages, either because an expression in another language fulfills something that you couldn't do in your own language, or you just like the expression better, or it's used in your own language all the time. Maybe it's just become like an idiom or something. C'est la guerre, okay? Such as war. You say that all the time in English. Or c'est la vie, such as life. Okay? Those are French, but they use them all the time in English. Or, we use words like lariat, okay? Or lasso. Those are not English words. I believe they're Spanish, but we use them. We've incorporated them into the fabric of English. English is very good at that. It makes it's very adaptable. It's actually designed to like take in words from other languages and use them all the time. But some of the rules that allow that to happen make English very hard to learn. But anyway, you will find the same point in your martial arts as you go, where you'll see something in another martial art where you go, wow, I really like that. Maybe I even like that better than this thing we do over here in my martial art. Or that fills this hole over here in my martial art where we don't do that. Or that's really cool. That would fit really nicely over here in my martial art. All right, so you might say pick up a couple of cool kicks from Savat that would work well in your martial art. Or maybe your martial art doesn't have a good ground game, so you grab some stuff from BJJ. Or maybe your martial art doesn't have very good weapons, so you grab some stuff from Kali. Who knows? Maybe your martial art doesn't have good hands, so you grab some stuff from Kempo or from boxing. Who knows, okay? But you will find yourself starting to take stuff from other martial arts, just like in language. You'll start to take stuff from other languages that fit well together in with your speaking style or your reading, your language. All right? And eventually you'll have this big tapestry that is your language style, your speaking style. You have your own little speech patterns. All right? And as you grow, you'll discover books and all kinds of other cool stuff that you really like. If you're lucky, you'll find other people that like that stuff too. Same thing happens with your martial art, right? You find little branches of your martial art that you really like. And if you're lucky, you find other martial artists that are into the same kind of stuff. People you can network with, share ideas with, work out with. Okay? But what happens if you stop reading? Or you stop that pursuit of knowledge with your language? It atrophies, right? And really, if you stop all that stuff long enough, your brain will start to like rot. Not really rot, but your language skills will start to fade. Your vocabulary will start to diminish. You got to stay with it. Okay? Just like I was telling you guys when you got to change the oil. Okay? You got to keep expanding those horizons. You got to keep reading. Same thing with your martial art, man. You got to keep up on it. You keep training. You keep doing new stuff. Keep expanding that martial art. Keep expanding that vocabulary of your martial arts. Okay? Alright, so that is why I come up with some of the weird stuff that I do. It's because I think of the martial art like a language. I'm always looking for new phrases, new ideas, new ways to say things in my karate. It's just how I look at it. So, I'm Mr. James at Charm City Karate. Have a great weekend. See you guys next week.